Welcome to the Rethink Leadership podcast with me, Jeremy Blaine. I interview leaders, experts and business professionals from around the world who are bringing leadership principles and know-how into the digitally driven 21st century workplace, with focus firmly on the how-to rather than the what. Each episode is in aid of a charity chosen by my guests, and since 2020, we've made donations to over 80 global and local causes. Today, I welcome Clifton Savage to the Rethink Leadership podcast. Cliff is the founder and CEO of the Service Leaders Society, a firm dedicated to enlighten, empower and equip leaders and their teams to make better use of their time, energy and money, and to do so in an authentic and driven way. Cliff comes with a rich background spanning over a decade in enhancing trades such as roofing, painting, electric work, and across B2B organisations. Cliff has cultivated a deep understanding of the unique challenges and opportunities within these fields in talent attraction and retention terms, specifically for leaders. We discuss Cliff's journey in leadership and his dedication in service to others as a leader, and how this improves human capital attraction, growth and retention. We pull on his experience and get into the secrets for success for leaders everywhere, with tips, watch-outs and suggested actions to accelerate progress. This episode is in aid of Cliff's charity of choice, the Children's Hospital of the King's Daughter in Virginia, USA, to which we've made a donation and proudly promote through the Rethink Leadership Network. Clifton, thanks very much for joining me. Please introduce yourself, your business, the Service Leaders Society, and what you've learned as a leader along the way.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. I'm Clifton Savage, owner, CEO of the Service Leaders Society. Our main focus is helping leaders be better at serving others. I've grew up in manufacturing and contracting space, and I've kind of always been in the middle, like middle management. And so I've had the perspective of learning, of seeing how we could be better at serving others. And when I was working for other companies, they didn't really want to listen to what I had to say, so I had to go into business for myself instead. So.
And I mean, we talk about servant leadership and being in service to others. Can you, in terms of your definition, give us an idea of what that actually means?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So my definition of like servant leadership, service leadership is, literally just putting others first. That's really the bare bones of it. But to me, that is my guiding force. Like I found in life when I was trying to, pursue things for myself first, kind of you run dry eventually. You just kind of you run out. It's not as satisfying, instead when I can wake up knowing that there's other people to take care of, whether it's my son, whether it's, my employees, my clients, I don't know. There's a huge shift for me in life where seeking to serve others first gave me, it's kind of hard to say that you could ever finish doing that, right? So to me, it's like there's like always room for improvement, and that chase, I think, is what motivates me more than feeling like I've completed something.
That's a good word, that chase. It is a great word for that, and it is funny because it is unrelenting, it's unremitting. It is our duty as leaders, and those of us, I'm guessing, that are kind of more enlightened and get this, are more immersed in what modern leadership is. And I'm interested to understand this. I know that you've worked across a really broad range of industries in helping leaders and organizations around this very point, but how that then links to attracting and retaining talent into an organization. So what are some of the secrets of success that you've picked up from those leaders who are practicing this? Mm-hmm. Being in service to their employees, and what are the things that are most common roadblocks, if you like, for leaders not quite getting to it?
Yeah, that's perfect. I had some great examples, both good and bad, when I first got started in my career, just, moving my way up through management before I went off into business for myself. That was kind of like the cornerstone to like your point, Jeremy, of being enlightened. Right. I saw the good and the bad. I saw the dark and the light. And that planted the seeds, and that kind of started, enlightening me to, oh, there's a better way of doing this. And so for me, the good examples were, they didn't have to preach servant leadership. They just did it. Right. I think that was the biggest thing. It wasn't just talking about it. It wasn't a slogan on a wall. It wasn't some social media post. The business owners, the managers, the directors, whatever they were, the good ones just did it. They just made it happen. They put their money where their mouth was. They put their time, their energy. The best bosses I had weren't ones that just gave me a pat on the back or a pay raise. They were the ones that actually came out on the shop floor. They came out in the front lines. They came to our studio, to our store, like any company I worked for where we had a good leader that really showed that they cared. You saw them. They were present, and not to micromanage, not to nitpick, but they were just there to check in with you, to see how things are going, to talk with you, to really kind of, more or less just kind of catch up, on a personal level, right? Rather than the professional. And then you have the other side of things, right? The ones that weren't serving others first and they were serving themselves first. That's the other example I have. And those showed me, one, just sitting beside them when they were kind of serving themselves or talking bad about it, their employees or other people, it just made me kind of fearful of my job. It made me feel like, well, why am I going to put in energy when, I feel threatened by this person too, just by the way they are perceived treating other people. And that behavior, that thought process of, they were acting that way to serve themselves first, just permeated every experience and exchange they had. And I'm a very observational person. I sit back and I'm quiet and I observe a lot. And I said, hey, I don't like this. He's not attacking me directly, but I could be the next attack one day, right? I could be the threat someday. And eventually, examples like that with bad bosses did come about. And so, but both were ultimately through their actions. They chose to show where they were coming from, whether they were serving others or serving themselves, based on how they live their day to day. So you can't hide it. You can't hide it.
You're absolutely right. And it's very obvious, isn't it, when they're in it for themselves rather than in it for others. And this day and age actually is more important, even more important for employees today and the younger folks coming into our organizations, that it's a more human-centered organization. And I love what you were saying there, Cliff, around it's not about preaching it, because I've heard that so often. You're so right. You go in that, yep, we practice servant or service leadership to others. We're into there, and it's almost like they doth protest too much. They it's they're talking the talk, but they're not exactly walking it, isn't it?
Yep.
It's very natural for those that do it. It's in their DNA and really at the heart of their personal values. So it makes it kind of easier. And of course there's an impact on that. And part of your organization is very much about talent. So what is the impact on our talent of leaders who are doing this very well and leaders who are not?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So the way I see it is, you're either going to be, as a good leader, lifting everybody up by your actions, or you're going to be a bad leader, irresponsible leader, let's put it that way, right? And push everyone down, hold everybody back. And to your point, Jeremy, what you were saying is, these companies, I mean, some even have hired me or want to hire me. And, we've had a lot of tension because they don't actually want to put in the work. They don't actually, like, it's habit building more than anything. Like you're saying, some of them are just naturally born to serve others, and then the others are naturally born to serve themselves. And that's a day in, day out habit that they formed, that they could start realizing that, yes, there's a generational shift. Yes, our employees want to be taken care of in a more human-centered way. But there's still a lot of people that struggle with that. Once they actually start letting go of the way they used to do things and try and serve, it's not as easy as it sounds. It's not as glamorous as it sounds. It's not as fun as it sounds to actually serve others. So, like, to actually follow through and do that, there's still people that struggle with that. And so you'll see that tension, and you'll see where, if we are working with a company, they actually will make things a lot more difficult versus the ones that are fully like, have at it, do what you want, install your systems, do what you say you're going to do. Light years difference, in, really coming up with a plan, implementing on the plan, and seeing the fruit of that labor. It could be months or years difference, for those people that actually want to follow through with that. So the more that the owners can, or the leaders can get out of the way, the better. And the good ones get out of the way, and the bad ones stay in the way.
That's a good summary. That actually, those that get in the way or remove themselves,
Yeah.
we know that the capability gap when we consider digital skills, new modern workplace skills, is narrowing between the very top and the rest of the organization. And it's those sort of more courageous, I suppose you could call them, leaders that say,
That's
you
a
know
good way
what,
to put it.
I'm not the smartest in the room. I'm not always right about this. I think let's leverage the potential of all of us. Having said that, I'm sure even those that aren't quite getting this right sort of are having that conversation internally. But I'm guessing it's a hard habit to break if you
Mm-hmm.
are a leader that is used to kind of doing it their way, if you like,
Yep.
rather than doing it the way of the others. So how do you go about discussing with leaders the progress that they need to make and the new habits that they need to sort of stack, to use James Clear's Atomic Habits kind of moniker, to start moving on that track?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it definitely comes down to illustrating the end results, right?
Mm.
Because they don't see it, and that's the hardest part. And even though we've created, me and my team have created like a streamlined process where a lot of the stuff we really try and, like, say for one particular position that they're trying to fill the gaps, to like do the recruiting, do the training, build all those programs out, those strategies and systems, even within like 3 months,
Mm.
right? For one position, which sounds like, if you try and do it on your own, sounds like that's not a lot of time at all. And it's not. That was the goal, but it's still a lot to trust the process. So like what you're saying, we have to go in with a client, either they already see the vision and they're already like surrendering control, like back to your point, Jeremy, they're either already surrendering control because they don't know how to do it, they don't know what it looks like, but they know that someone else can do it, like they've found enough confidence in us. Or you have those that have a particular view on what they think it's going to be, and they get in the way and mess that process up and slow things down and add layers to it that don't need to be added, and it just gets bloated and everything's slowed down, and then next thing you know, you can't see the forest from the trees. There's a fine balancing act between that, and that's a personality thing too. I've learned that, depending on the owners, most owners we help, most leaders we help, whether directors, VPs, CEOs, COs, whatever, the ones that we help the best are the ones that are visionaries and don't know how to implement, but also know to stay out of the way enough and not keep throwing new ideas and new visions at it while we're working on it. If they can do that, if they can back away and kind of surrender that control, then we can get in and make those changes happen a lot faster. And that gives them the confidence, because then you're compounding. You see in the first couple of weeks, hey, we built this. In the first month, hey, we've got this much done now, right? In 2 months, hey, we're halfway there. It's a lot different when they want to keep changing either the destination or the game plan in between. That no one can keep up with that. So yeah, they got to be very responsible, and kind of control themselves throughout that process to make it easier.
What's interesting there, Cliff, is that I think a lot of us may see this as here's the process that we need to go through to do this, but you're so right. It's about working on the personality and style of those leaders, to help them be a little bit more flexible at how they might look at this challenge or opportunity, depending on how they look at it. And you mentioned your process, which is, I believe, is the task system, which helps make rapid progress in these areas as far as the leadership that's needed, but also then with the talent itself. Could you tell us what that is? And then I'm going to put you on the spot for what's the measurable impact that you've got out of this, that for those tuning in will let their ears prick up and say, we need some of this.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, the process is about coming in and setting up the systems for them. So we'll get a lot of companies, and the more that we get better at marketing, the more that we get better at illustrating what we do and who we help, um, and who we're better paired up with, the more that we're working with people that they know they have a responsibility, they're just not equipped to do it. And so we kind of come in and coach them as we build their systems. So that could be the applicant tracking system to put the job posts out there, integrating any social strategies and stuff like that to help support it, to help boost it if necessary. But we're coaching them along that process, kind of like what you were saying about it is about the personality, right? And so each job position has a unique personality style that goes with that. And so we go into the details and the strategies of each position that we're helping with, and we help with one at a time, right, to help keep things easy and focused and streamlined. And then as we're doing all that stuff, as I'm kind of helping them with the strategies, my team's going in and actually helping build the trainings to support them, whether it's just onboarding stuff all the way to skills training and opportunities for someone to grow in a position and move up from like an apprentice level to experienced technician level, all the way to a trainer or a leader, a foreman or something like that. But throughout this whole process, we're educating them on kind of screaming, you're doing this to serve your employees, not the other way around. It's not so you can track their productivity and their profitability. It's you're equipping them with the right tools and the right training. You're explaining to a job applicant how this job would be best for them or wouldn't be best for them, right? You're doing all these things to enlighten a job applicant to an employee versus trying to keep everything close to your chest and controlled, just so you can make the numbers. And so that whole process screams you're letting go and you're serving your employees. And we keep coaching them and reminding that throughout the whole process, as we build out all these systems. And then voila, here's a turnkey program ready to go, custom made for you and your employees.
And so if I put you on the spot and say kind of the quantifiable outputs that you've seen working with some clients and leaders around this, what are some of the highlights that you could give us around the benefits?
So some of the benefits, I've actually recently just put together a demo of our system, one of the training programs we use, and threw a bunch of the stats in there as well. So it's fresh on my mind. Looking back at the statistics, especially when it comes, let's just talk about recruiting, right? Because that's some of the biggest issues that employers complain about is they just can't even get people to apply to jobs, let alone figure out if they're good or bad applicants in the first place, right? They don't even get the choice. We've been able to, through our, strategies of the job descriptions, the way that we, formalize the copy in the social posts and the other stuff that we put out there to help attract people to apply, we've been able to help people that say they can never get an applicant to getting, a couple dozen of applicants within the first 7 days. To if we stay really on top of them and coach them through the process and they stay on top of the applicants, it on average, just looking back at my clients, looking at their systems, looking at the timelines recently, like literally within the last 3 weeks, average timeline, we can go from job post to onboarding a new hire within 4 weeks for a client because everything's so cleared and laid out now, rather than them dragging their feet. And this is a good quality hire. Like these are people that, we funneled, dozens of people through the process to get down to a couple that they still ask us, who do you think is better suited for this job? And that whole process would be about 4 weeks. And then they bring on someone that they're happy with. And the employee's happy with because we built the training. They've got like formal onboarding. Like they are not just like standing there with their hands up in the air. They've got like their marching orders for the first couple of weeks to build them up and really equip them, that it makes them even more confident that they applied in the first place. And so, that timeline has really been shortened, but it's helped increase the number of quality applicants too. And then that turns into, with many of our clients, going from just wanting help with one position to getting help with numerous positions on average. After like a lifetime with a client, we probably will help out on average about 11 of their positions. predominantly frontline positions, but helping implement that whole recruiting, onboarding, training strategy. So yeah, that's some of the recent metrics that I've put together just from my research.
And what strikes me as the real secret there is that you focused on the implementation, not the what, if you like.
Yeah.
Yes, we can help you with talent. Yes, we can do this, but
Yeah.
actually getting it done properly is where it needs to happen. You need
Yeah.
people up to speed quickly. You need productivity. You need people who are then getting what they're promised as far as training and development goes. And it's faster to performance, I take it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really the, if you will, the boring and mind numbing part of it. Right. That's the part that no one wants to deal with. It's not sexy. It's not fun. You know, it can be overwhelming at first too. Right. Because when people start seeing the applicants come in, they're like, wait a minute, we weren't expecting to get this many. And there's no tricks really. I mean, there are. We just follow through with what we know works, and other people don't go that far. Right. They don't go to that deep level. They just have generic stuff they put out there when it comes to job post and their process of responding to applicants and whatnot. We take it further than that because I feel like that's not deep enough on an implementation standpoint because we know better. And so if we don't do it, then we're lying to our clients, and it just doesn't sit right with me. And so, but yeah, that's why people pay us to do it, because it's boring. It's not fun. It could be mind numbing to manage. And that's why I have, you have me and my team that come in during that sprint, during that hiring phase, and get everything done for you instead.
So you're making this talent implementation sexy again. Is that what you're saying?
Trying.
Great, excellent.
We think
That's
it's fun.
that's not something I've said on a podcast yet. So
Yeah.
you never know. But I get it. It's like coming in and saying this is what we can do. It's about speed. It's about capability. It's about the right fit. All of those things. And as we look ahead to the 2030s, we are driven by an ever accelerating pace in our organizations. So if I fast forward you a few years, then
Mm-hmm.
what do you think then will be the new challenges and opportunities that leaders and yourselves as an organization will need to be on top of in talent terms when we consider trends in transformational trends in the workforce, so, like hybrid working, the blended workforce, all of those kind of things?
Yeah, I mean, with the trends shifting in the workforce, a lot of the positions we deal with are frontline positions. I'd say 50-50, are out in a field, right? They're out on a job site. They're not at a local HQ or something like that. So, half the workforce, until there's like robots that are being controlled by humans or just doing it themselves, there's not going to be so many positions that we can take out of the field. But that being said, there are many ways that we see companies shifting to bring in-house the training, the facilitating for like the next generation of having apprenticeship programs, not relying on schools, not relying on colleges or other organizations to get the next generation excited and out there training, learning this stuff. The companies have to take it into their own hands, and it's not an easy feat. It's not cheap either, but there will be ways that over time, more and more technology, more and more people with a mindset. There's many companies out there besides mine that can help in these types of areas. And I want to see more companies out there. I want to see more competition because more organizations need to be doing this stuff and they're not, and we're only but so large to take on but so many clients at a time, that there is a massive, massive chunk of the population across the world that is still suffering from not having these things in place. Organizations not putting in the time and the money. And so, but I see that shifting because the management's shifting. They're becoming more enlightened. You're going to have new generations that come in that are going to already have the wherewithal that these things need to be in place. And so then it's just a matter of taking the time and finding the right talent and the right investments to build this stuff internally. The more I see that, things are going to look better. There will be more competition at that point too, which will be good. But yeah, we still need to make it a little bit more attractive, and we've got a long ways to go. So
It does sound like that you're blazing the trail there in terms of the how to and really owning it as well as an organization and for your clients. And I'm absolutely sure that many of those tuning in will be listening to this thinking, this is precisely what I need. This is where we're wasting money. We don't have the process in terms of application tracking. We don't have experts that can advise us like this. We have more traditional, let's say, recruitment agencies or job boards that we go to. We need to up our game. And it feels like they should be able to do that with you. So how do they find out more, keep the conversation going, and connect?
Yeah, I mean, the best way to connect with me and hear more about my thoughts is on LinkedIn, which you can just find me, Cliff S. Savage. That's my name on the platform to find me on there. Our website, we've got a new domain. It's called serviceleadersystems.com because we're really emphasizing the system side of things. Same business, but that's where we'll have more information about the main services like the attraction system, as well as where people can get the link to the demo of the actual mobile app that we use for the onboarding and training and tracking for clients. That's the best way to get in touch with us. And obviously getting on podcasts like this to share my thoughts and my vision.
Well, thanks, Cliff. And working roughly in the neighborhood of the sector that you're in, it's game changing because you're taking that laborious process, you're bringing it to be very implementation focused, and you're really kind of grabbing the clients and pulling them through that process and bringing it down to sort of 4 weeks where people are up and running. It's definitely something that we need for our time. So thank you, Cliff, for joining us. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thanks for tuning in to the Rethink Leadership podcast with me, Jeremy Blaine. Please like, comment, and support us on your favourite platform and subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch as well as listen to each episode.